Giving all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Makakodash, the one and the apostles and the elders that do rule at great milestone. Peace and salutation to you, sincere brethren, pushing this gospel in sincerity and truth. Say shalom to the humble and sincere sisters out there as well. Brother Kalam from the GMS channel, cameras come to prophesy the words of our Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. This lesson will be entitled Enmity with Thy Seed and Her Seed. Right, and I'm quoting this from Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. Right, the Lord was talking to the serpent here, which we know is not a literal serpent, right? And the Lord is basically saying that He's going to put enmity between these two seeds, right? That He would put enmity between the woman and the serpent, and between the woman's seed and um, the serpent's seed, right? So I'll read it here, the Genesis 3 verse 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. You understand? So basically, it's saying on he will put enmity, right? So they will always have that opposition, will always have that conflict. You understand? Always have that rivalry, that hatred between these two seeds. Always will always have that. And the seeds that is being referred to here is Cain and Abel, but also the reincarnates Jacob and Esau. Jacob being the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the Israelites, and Esau being the so-called white man, the Edomites, the Idumeans, the Caucasians as they call themselves today. They are the Edomites. You understand? They are the spiritual seeds of Cain, of the serpent. You understand? They are the wicked, they are the evil, they are the sons of the devil. Right? And Jacob, the Israelites, we are the sons of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And we will always have that enmity between the two people. You understand? And to further prove it here, I'll start it in Revelation 12. I'll read verse 17. It says, and the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Yahweh and have the testimony of Yahushua Mashiach. I read verse 1. And there appeared a great one in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. You understand? So this is referring to the nation of Israel. The 12 stars, right, is symbolic for the 12 tribes. The sun and the moon, you understand, is light. So knowledge, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, the life. You understand? The light. So it's the Israel. The woman here is Israel. You understand? The same way, people just call, they will call the car, she, and they'll give the car a name. You understand? And give the car like a gender, basically, right? It's the same thing we're getting used here. Israel is being referred to as a woman, the same way the elect is referred to as what, a bride, being adorned for her husband. And it just simply means the elect making the robes white with the blood of the lamb and preparing for that great day where the bridegroom will be ready. It's not a literal thing. Right, you read verse 4. It say, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and it cast them to the earth. And the dragon, right, the dragon is the Roman Empire, stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered for to devour her child as soon as it was born. This is talking about when they went out to kill all the males among the Israelites for fear of the prophecy. You understand? And I said they drew the third part of the stars, which is referring to the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, where they set out this decree to kill all the males. Right, verse 5. And she brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto Yahweh, unto his throne. This is referring to Yahweh Shai. Right, Yahweh Shai. It say what she brought forth, a man child. So out of Israel came what? A child which was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. This is Yahweh Shai. And he was caught up, right? He went back up into the spiritual realm after he after he finished his course and he went back up to his father onto his throne to sit on the right hand side of the heavenly Father. So this is just a little extra showing that the when it's say enmity between thy seed and her seed, even that in that situation was being used symbolically to represent Israel. You understand? I'll go to the book of Genesis 25, verse 23. It says, and the Lord said unto her, I'll start at verse 21. It says, and Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. So it's showing you here that the children were struggling within her. You understand? Verse 3. And the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. You understand? So this is what the Lord was telling Eve, right? No, Salaki was telling his servant. Enmity between thy seed and her seed. So we see in this situation here with Isaac and Rebekah, the Lord tell Rebekah is two manner of people. Even though there is brothers, even though there is twins, there are two manner of people. There's two different nations, two completely different nations. I just share all these things is spiritual. So it's two completely different nations was being brought forth. You understand? It's saying the people shall be stronger, and the one shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. So Esau would have ended up serving Jacob. You understand? And then you read in 2nd Ezra, it say what for Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. And they say that it show you symbolically that Esau came out first and Jacob held his heel, right? So Esau came out first, so his rulership, his complete dominion and control over this earth would come first. You understand? His kingdom will be established first, but eventually his kingdom would fall. He has a finite amount of time. You understand? His kingdom isn't limitless. When his kingdom falls, then Jacob's kingdom, right, the same way his brother came out holding his heel right after him, will be established. You understand? For Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. Right? And a key part in the Genesis 3 and 15, I will put enmity between thee and the woman, between thy seed and her seed. So it say he will put enmity between thee and the woman and the seeds. Right? So enmity between Israel and between Esau, right? And there was enmity between Jacob and Esau because of the birthright, where Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, and then Jacob received the blessing, and Esau sought out to kill him. Even when we came out of Egypt, the Edomites came against us, right? The Edomites, they said raise it when our temples was being overrun and destroyed, and they rejoiced over our destruction. And the Lord list out, I think it's in Psalms 82, not 82. It's Psalms 83, verse 2. It says, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, which is Israel, right, and consulted against thy hidden ones, and the Lord's people is Israel. Salakia. Right, Salakia, Deuteronomy 7:6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power. The Lord thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So the Lord's people is Israel. Right, so there's Psalms 83:2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent they are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom. You understand? And it goes on to further list out, the Lord's enemies. You understand? And these other nations. But that's the key thing I wanted. You realize Esau is first on the list. And that is for a reason, because Esau is the main enemy of Israel. The so-called white man is the main enemy to the so-called blacks, Latinos, and the Native Americans. Why? Because of the enmity that is between our people and their people. The enmity between thy seed and her seed. The enmity between Cain and Abel. The enmity between Jacob and Esau. Between the descendants of Israel and the descendants of Esau, of Edom. You understand? This constant war between them. Because why? There's an opposition. You understand? Okay, you realize, when we go back to the Revelation 12, verse 17, it say, the dragon was wrought with the woman, went to make war with the remnant of her seed. The remnant of her seed. Not the whole, not the all the people, not the whole nation, but the remnant of her seed. The 1/3. The chosen out of the woman's seed, the chosen out of Israel, which keep what the commandments of Yahweh and have the testimony of Yahushai Mashiach. So it's showing you here that is not the whole nation. The enmity wouldn't be between the whole nation, between, the whole nation, because at the end of the day, these Israelites that in the world, they know different than these heathens. They blend in with them just fine. But the remnant of the woman's seed, the remnant of Israel, the elect, their ways are contrary to the ways of the wicked. You understand? Their ways are contrary to the so-called white man's ways. Right? The elect teaches the words of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, teaches the laws, statutes, and commandments of their power, and he so does the complete opposite. He teaches the laws that would only bring forth death, that only brings forth confusion and pain and suffering. Right? It has a constant contradiction, for lack of better words. Completely different people. That's why I say two manner of people are in thy womb. You know? Get the book of Genesis 4, verse 8. Right, Genesis 4, verse 8. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not, am I my brother's keeper? And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood cried unto me from the ground, and now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. That is the curse that was placed upon Cain. You understand? And to take it a step further, that is why the Lord said this. Right? In the book of Romans 9. The book of Romans chapter 9 verse 9, it says, for this is the word of promise. At this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son. And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by her father Isaac, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of Yahweh according to election might stand, not of works but of him that calleth. It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. The Lord loved Abel because of his sacrifice, a righteous, a sincere sacrifice. But what did Cain give? He didn't give that. He gave the complete opposite. And then he proceeded to slew his brother Abel. So with the children being not yet born, it was already established what was going to happen, not of works but of him that called it. Because the Lord knew what was taking place. The Lord understood. And if you really think about it, Isaac, right? Isaac is the reincarnation of Adam. Adam was the father of Cain and Abel. And Isaac is the father of Jacob. Was the father of Jacob and Esau. So it makes sense that they were Cain and Abel. You understand? And the Lord understood. They said, no new thing under the sun. The Lord understood who was in the womb, who was in Rebecca's womb. Right? And I'll go back to Genesis 4. Have a key part in there where it say the verse 10, it say, and he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood cried unto me from the ground. The book of Isaiah chapter 26 verse 21. It say, for behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. So you Edomites, you understand? You Edomites, so-called, which is the so-called white man, the devil that the Bible speaks of. This is what is coming to you, the judgment, punishment for the sins that you have committed. You understand? That's why the scriptures say what? To show you is the same spirit going by a different name. You understand? It's the same spirit. Book of Revelation chapter 12 verse 9, it says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, right? That old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels was cast out with him. Right? So this old serpent, the serpent from the garden, called the devil, called Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. Job 9 and 24, what the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So the rulers of the earth today, which is the so-called white man, they were the same people, the same wicked people that were there back then. Right? So it's the great dragon would be cast out. That old serpent, right, would be cast out into the earth, and his angels. Right? I think it's Isaiah 14. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning, right? Scripture say what? Come and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. You understand? O daughter of Babylon, who are to be destroyed. This is the so-called white man's fate. This is that serpent's fate, that devil, Satan, that dragon. This is all your fate, right? The dust, the dirt, the ground. You will no longer be in your heavenly state. You would be in the state of hell, the state that our people are in today. And even worse than that, because the scripture said double unto her according, to what she did unto you. Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse Deuteronomy 30 verse 7. And the Lord thy power put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that that hate thee, which persecuted thee. Right? So all the things that happening to us, the Lord gonna put it upon you. Right? Because you read now how jump back in the Genesis chapter 3 verse 15. You read in the ending of the verse, it say what? It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So yes, the serpent and the serpent's seed would bruise the heel. You understand? Would bruise the heel of the woman of Eve of Israel seed. You understand? Would bruise his heel. But the woman's seed will what? Will bruise his head. And I can't remember the word the brother and I was looking up. I think it was head self. It was showing you that one of the definitions was head, that if you was to cut off the head of an animal, it will completely kill the whole body. You understand? It will destroy the whole body if you cut off the head. Right? I think it was we was researching like the head of the house, and what would take place if you get rid of the man, what the so-called white man is doing in our family, so they to destroy them. But basically that way it's saying here, it shall bruise thy head. So even though the Edomites will bruise our heel, because that will take place, they put us into slavery. You understand? They have dominion over us, they have rulership and power over us right now, but we will bruise their head. We will completely subdue them. You understand? We will completely overcome them. You understand? The book of Ezekiel chapter 35 verse 3. And say unto it, thus saith the Lord power, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, enmity between thy seed and her seed, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sit thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus I will make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it that passeth out, and him that returneth, and I will fill his mountains with slain men. In thy hills and in thy valleys and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. Isaiah 14 verse 21. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Malachi 4:1. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. You understand? This is the fate of the so-called white man. This is the fate of the old serpent, of the dragon, right? Of the Roman Empire. This is the fate of the beast. This is the fate of these people. You understand? This is their fate. So that is what the enmity is being referred to. That perpetual hatred among black people as you know it and white people. You look at the way the stage is set. Is blacks versus whites. You look these other nations, they just blend in whatever. But the two main stars in this movie is black people, as you refer it's like I'm mixing up my words, that is shay way. But that's really how to come out of these fleshly bodies. And the Lord talk about like how brothers who have speech impediments and still like to go off topic, but as our brothers that the stutter, our brothers has mix up words. I happen to be one of the brothers that does mix up words and thing, and it's just different challenges that will come your way. Understand different obstacles, but you are to pray to about Shemi Oshai and son and continue to push you to the best of your ability. And don't let nothing in the flesh stop you. Nothing shall be able to separate you from the love of Yahweh that is in Yahweh Shai or Mashiach. Right? But black people, as you refer to them as, and white people, understand? It always had a rivalry between us. In sports, especially in sports, you see it all the time in sports and boxing. Every time a so-called black man had a face up against a so-called white man, it have this racial tension. It's more than just the individual. It's like the whole nation on their back when they fight each other. Football, basketball, track, understand? All manner of sports, military, schooling, education. There's this competition that when a black man faces off, or a native, whoever faces off against a white man or white woman, have that tension. It's a bit different than if a black man was to face off against a Asian or a white against a East Indian. Right? Because these are the two stars in the show. Right? The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and natives, the Israelites are the main protagonists. The remnant of them are the main protagonists, and then you have the main antagonist, which is the so-called white man. So that is basically it. The scriptures talk about enmity between thy seed and her seed is referring to Cain and Abel, and they reincarnate Jacob and Esau, the Israelites against the Edomites. That perpetual hatred, perpetual rivalry that is among those two nations, those two different manner of people. Son, with that, hope this lesson was edifying. All praises to our Bashim Shai, Bashim Kakodash, Shalom.